Like in the last 10 years, we haven't argued. I mean, we've gotten along. We see eye to eye. Now, I've been saved for about 17 years. This October the 10th will make 17 years that I've been walking with the Lord. And the first 7 years of that time was, my relationship with my mother was, wow. It was terrible. It was hard. It was grueling. My mother, you see how we're smiling here, all happy? It wasn't this way. She could push my buttons like nobody else could. I mean, it was just the least little thing she would say would set me off. I mean, we would argue about things that were just nothing, and it was terrible. Now, I remember thinking when I was driving down to Florida, I was thinking that I can't have this kind of relationship with my mother and call myself a godly man. And so I remember her calling me. Now, I was driving down to Florida, for Christian counseling ministry. And I was driving down there for that, and she calls me, and we get in this incredible argument while I'm going down. And I know it had to have been the Lord that she called me at that time, because it was at that moment that I just drew a line in the sand, and I said, Lord, I cannot do this anymore. Whatever is going on inside of me that's causing me, to interact with my mother this way, Lord, fix it, please. I pleaded with him to ask him to fix it. And so I continued down, on my trip, to Florida, and it was a good time. And through that time, my life was transformed. It was just so amazing what God did when he was down there. And interesting enough, when I came back, my mother, she called me on the way back. Now, she didn't call me the entire time I was there, and I was there for about 4 or 5 days. And then on my way back, she calls me. And this time, the very same thing that she said before that set me off, that pushed my buttons, that caused me to just totally respond to her in a way that was just not appropriate, it didn't. I mean, there was nothing she could say that and there was some that she would set me off. There were some things that she said that were worse than what she said before on my trip there. And it didn't set me off at all. And then I remember just thanking the Lord, just saying, Lord, thank you so much. Thank you so much for fixing whatever it was inside of me that was causing me to respond to my mother this way. Now, I know everyone is probably wondering, what is it that was causing you to be set off that way? And what it was is bitterness. Me and my mother, we grew up in an abusive, impoverished situation. And my mother, we were the black sheeps of the family. Like everyone else, they were behaving in love, they were treating each other with respect and kindness and all that stuff that you expect from your family, with the exception of me and my mother. And I remember when I was about 9 years old, I think I started to really see the difference in the way that we were treated and the way that everyone else was treated. And I remember every day, like this house was huge. It had a upstairs and a downstairs. And I remember sitting on the steps every day crying my eyes out because of just how me and my mother were being treated. Now, as a child, our expectation is that our mother and our father will protect us. And in this particular situation, my mom, she couldn't protect me because she couldn't protect herself. And so as I grew up and I got older, in my mind, I'd rationalize the fact that my mom couldn't protect herself. But in my heart, I was still a little angry with her because she didn't protect me. Because I experienced all this foolishness, that it took me years, even after I became a believer, to work out. I experienced all this foolishness, and in my heart, it was her fault. She didn't protect me. So there was some bitterness lodged in my heart that caused me not to be able to respond to my mom appropriately. And so that trip, it changed everything. From that day, I cannot remember one single argument with my mother, one single argument. And now we laugh, we joke, and we just have a great time all the time. But it was only until I got free of the bitterness that I could walk, in the appropriate relationship with my mother. One of my friends said to me that bitterness is like drinking a bottle of poison and waiting for your enemies to die. And it sounds funny, but it stuck with me because it painted such a picture of what bitterness was. I mean, it just stuck with me because if you think about it, when you are walking in bitterness, you're angry. And let's say I'm angry with Charles. If I'm angry with Charles, if I hold that bitterness against Charles, if I hold things against Charles, I'm angry with Charles, but he's walking around in his life, he's not thinking about Walter, he's doing whatever it is that he would normally do. And I'm sitting around brewing and stewing over something that he did or some way that I feel like he wronged me. And so the person who is harboring the bitterness, that's the person, who the poison is intoxicating. Can I get one person, and this is not including kids, to come up here and drink this bottle of some type of Clorox cleaner? Can I get one person in here to do it? Because I guarantee you, everyone knows that it's poison, and it will kill you. It will clean you out good. So today, we're going to talk about the potential causes of it, the fruit, or what it will produce in your life, and also how to get free from it. Bitterness is rooted in unforgiveness and self-exaltation. Proverbs 28 and 25 says, "An arrogant man stirs up strife, but he who trusts in the Lord will prosper." If you think about the term arrogance, you can use it synonymously with pride, or synonymously, with just thinking about yourself. So in any given situation, when a person is arrogant or prideful, they're just focused on me. And in this situation with my mom, I would just bite into her because I was focused on me. I was focused on what she did or what she didn't do, how it hurt me. So in my arrogance, every single time that I would get in an argument with my mom, every single time I was stirring up strife. The ways can range from hopeless situations to disappointment resulting from failed relationship. How many people in here have had situations that were disappointing? That they were disappointed. Let's say a person who they were looking to get a job, but they're not getting a job. In this hopeless situation, you can easily build up bitterness in your heart. Now, Carlos here, he worked with me at CBN. And so we worked at the prayer center. And so we received lots of calls praying for lots of people. And there were so many people who called and they were angry with God because they lost their job. They didn't know how they were going to provide for their families. They were in a hopeless situation and they didn't know what to do about it. And also in failed relationships. So many times, and I'd have to say that the popular failed relationship is a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And so many times we've had situations, where a relationship didn't work out. And in the end of it, we're bitter with the person. We're angry with that person. We're holding something against that person because they messed up. But then it can also work indirectly. Like a prime example is my father. He skipped out when I was about 2 years old, something like that. And as a result of that, I heard so many times as a boy, "You're just like that daddy of yours. You do just what he does. You're just like him." And so there was a level of bitterness and resentment in my mom's heart against my father that she was taking out on me. So that bitterness was hurting our relationship. Proverbs 13:12 says, "A hope deferred makes the heart sick, but desire fulfilled is a tree of life." When your heart is looking to receive something, in a failed relationship, you're looking for that relationship to be successful. You're looking for that relationship to produce what it's supposed to produce. And if that happens, if that fails, your heart gets sick. Another problem, using people's mistakes or past transgressions to disqualify them. By this, you constantly are rehearsing over and over in your mind in a self-exalting manner how that person has wronged you, and you become angered at that person. How many people have done that? Someone has wronged them, and as a result of that person wronging them, what they do